QRM Office, Rio de Janeiro City, Federative Unit, Rio de Janeiro, National State, Brazil. We will have a conversation, quite simple, quite clear. I'm not gonna be mad because indeed it's not the best way. Despite sometimes we, get mad with things that can be easily solved, but wouldn't got solved by the lack of will. It's an issue complaining. And it's complaining more than one time. It's complaining a dozen times. You are unable to solve the problem as integrated failure with systematical projection and increasement and association by variance of failures until take your entire conjuncture that things kind of points by a regression using a matrix to the same groups acting as purpose doing economic crimes, which is named trust, doing corruption by specific hands or specialized departments after have the designation to use the power, and it's named public corruption. It's always a crime. You will have this easily tracked by models, and you will not solve the problem, which is in a very first moment, put them all out because it's profitable to you and your group or peers associated with and protected by guarantees and prerogatives under wrongdoing or misusage. We will finish this conversation now. We will check that when you do the violation of my basic rights and guarantees, not only doing an entrance at my space, get my information on my email or something like this, but if we observe this model, indeed we are having our structure as phone or our structure as internet or our structure as integrity of your office or home or even your private living with an interval that is an interface to the group collects the data, the information by phone sector segment. It must be authorized by a judge with motivation for criminal investigation, since you have conditions to sustain this or you are committing an abuse and it's a crime. We will observe that this is kind of a cloned interval at this area. This is a cloned interval inside the structure as mobile service internet by the cable provider as internet, and we will observe that this pattern as cloned interval or notation gives ourselves the idea as domain and image. It's the same pattern when you had cloned your vehicle, which necessarily goes from public departments, and it's associated with departments that do the very first registry or record. In the same way, by a murder, when you make things so confused and so messed that is unable to have a decision. It's the same pattern as cloned when you clone a person and goes by registry. we are having this as econometric model named collinearity. You all are at the same line as evidence, which is an interval cloned from a regular area with a failure or with a failure as tolerance, and you are doing a perception of things to make things confused or get advantage by this, but you are all clustered at this interval. If this interval is a procedure, you are all clustered at this segmented area, which our machine had a little problem, but the video, remains. You are all segmented at this procedure, which is a sampling group inside a segmented named public department. And when we had this collinear perception by fail, indeed is an integrated failure with interaction by registry and gains. If you take a look at the law 12,850, Article 1, 2, and 3, I think that you must be sent to jail because it's the law. And this group, which is the same criminal group, committed industrial crime when did the violation, which is the same pattern as a cloned vehicle or a cloned ID or a cloned space at mobile or provider as internet and communication. And to protect this, you will set all situations against the traces highlighting you. But you have signatures, you have decisions, hierarchical distribution of command to continue and keep this. Not because you are against my research, but because you'd like to have the continuity as advantage from the place you are, but you are misplaced as a designation made by a criminal state. You have criminal empowerment. And when other judicial system based on violations that affect, for instance, the Google as Google account, the Twitter as account, the Microsoft, the Norton antivirus, the eBay and US postal system as service, you put yourself under the jurisdiction of USA. And when you keep, indeed you kept, your intention so systematically evidenced and proved by integration, interconnection, and interaction oriented by gains from misusage of prerogatives. Indeed, if this goes during a review of a procedure, and in the next moment you kind of would like to do not have yourself highlighted, maybe you committed obstruction of justice, especially if you are doing the review or the complaint about industrial crime, violation of freedom of thoughts, apply the defense of insecurity of you all. Have a nice night.